in Christian couples therapy, I work with both couples who identify as a complementarian and other couples who identify as egalitarian. And in my experience, if you have a healthy relationship with each other, if you love Jesus, if you're both seeking to follow his way, it doesn't matter as much what you call yourselves, complementarian, egalitarian, because the way that it's going to manifest is going to be mutual service, mutual love of the other. It's going to be putting the other one ahead of yourself. It's going to be listening to their needs, validating their needs and desires, and you're going to have a really loving relationship. If, regardless of what word you use, or if you're like, I don't really know what either of those words means, but I just love Jesus and try to follow him, that's the point. Loving Jesus and trying to follow him. But what I find is that some, they call themselves complementarian, but what they really mean is hierarchical. They use the word complementarian as an excuse to put somebody underneath them and to get them to be like, they're wrong if they don't do what I want. And I find this a lot in marriages that are emotionally abusive. Men might use the word complementarian and they might take verses out of context to justify saying that the wife is always wrong, the wife is always to blame, that her needs always come second to her husband, which obviously is not in the way of Jesus. Even if you call yourself like the strictest complementarian and you believe men and women's roles are very different, that is obviously not in line with what Jesus taught. So I have a kind of an illustration if you want to call yourself complementarian, and that is the interlocking hands. So I love this picture for a marriage because you can see the interlocking, it's cohesive, it's whole, there's no gaps, there's a lot of strength to this, right? And which one's the leader? I don't know, because you got this hand with the thumb on top, you could say, well, that's on top, well, that's the leader. Look, though, down here you've got this pinky finger, and that's kind of undergirding the whole thing and holding up the whole structure. Which one's the man? Which one's the woman? Which one's the leader? You know, it's kind of hard to tell with this image. And you've got like this finger that's over that finger, but that finger is over this finger. And this is really the way a marriage works. There are going to be some ways where one person leads in one way and the other person follows in another way, but that same person might lead in another way and follow in another way. However you view it, there's going to be a lot of mutuality in a healthy marriage. There's going to be give and take. There's going to be deferring to the other, putting them first. So if you have a marriage where one person is constantly just above the other one, they always come first, that is not a healthy biblical marriage, no matter what you call it.